Hello everyone, my name is Marcio Katz. In a couple of minutes we'll start, so let's wait a little bit so everybody will be able to join us. Very good, excellent. Guys, if you can send me a message just to let me know if you can hear me, you can see me, that would be great. I would appreciate if you guys could just send me a message, use the chat. Okay. In just a couple of minutes we will start. Okay guys, in just a couple of minutes we're going to start. Okay. It seems that everything is working perfectly, so just a couple of minutes we'll start. Okay everyone, great to be here. Welcome. My name is Marcio Katz, and today we're going to start our new project, Data Privacy Classes Online, every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So once again, my name is Marcio Katz, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Get Global International. And Get Global International is a data privacy consulting company, also ICSIN official training partner. And as I said, today is our first online class. Every Monday, one of our instructors will be here to talk about data privacy. And we are going to start by talking about how you can become a data privacy professional. But first of all, let me talk a little bit about myself. Let me introduce myself. As I've said, my name is Marcio Katz. I'm a data privacy lawyer, and I'm a European data privacy lawyer with more than 20 years of experience. And I have worked on more than 100 data privacy projects all around the world. And today we are going to talk about how to become a data privacy professional. But we are gonna. That's how we are going to have our class. Very simple. We are going to use this whiteboard to take some notes. Feel free to send your questions during my presentation. At the end of our class, we're going to be able to answer some of the questions. Some of you are already making part of our Telegram channel. So I know that some questions will come through Telegram. No problem at all. We also take those questions. So once again, feel free to send your questions, and we're going to be more than glad to answer those questions at the end of our presentation. Okay, 20 years of experience in cyber law. I was happy to get a scholarship, and that was a long time ago. 2005, I was able to attend a Harvard program on cyber law. I was able to attend a program at Berkman Center. It's a Harvard Law School research center for cyber law. Since then, I've been working in different legal matters related with innovation and IT, and definitely one of them is data privacy. As an European lawyer, as I said, I've worked in more than 100 different projects implementing different procedures, some softwares, and also doing paperwork in order to make company comply with the GDPR or even the new CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act. So this is part of my experience as an European lawyer specialized in cyber law. And as I've mentioned it, I'm also the global chief operating officer for Get Global International. As I have also said, Get Global International is ICSIN's training partner. So one of our programs is the boot camp, the data privacy boot camp. Our goal is to train global DPOs. Our goal is definitely to train global DPOs. What I mean by global DPOs are data privacy officers able to at least understand the different data privacy standards in different parts of the world. We usually say that nowadays there are 3 different standards to regulate data privacy around the world. The European standard, General Data Protection Regulation, the American standard. The US doesn't have a comprehensive data privacy law, so it's more sectorial, finance, health, educational sector, and now we have state laws, data privacy state laws. The state of California was the first state in the U.S. to have its own data privacy regulation. And many other states are debating data privacy bills. So maybe in the future, some other states might introduce and make their data protection bills come into effect. Maybe in next year or even this year. So these are 2 standards. We have the Chinese standard. Most people don't know, but China also has its own way to regulate data privacy. Actually, today I have just been invited by ICSIN in China to address a presentation for the Chinese market, for people who want to become data privacy officers in China. Of course, I'm not going to talk about the data protection law in China, but definitely we're going to talk about the management aspect of how to deal with data privacy. As I've said, our most important training program is the Data Privacy Boot Camp. It's a 1-week boot camp, Data Privacy Boot Camp. The first edition was in New York City. The last edition was in Lisbon. So during our boot camp, we have the chance to get together people from different parts of the world, and we start by addressing some legal aspect of data privacy. It's the first part of our program. It's what we call foundation. So our students, they have the opportunity to learn about the GDPR and the CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act. During some programs, we also address some legal aspects of the LGPD, the Brazilian General Data Protection Law. So that's the foundation. It's the first part of our program. So it gives to you the knowledge of a legal aspect of data privacy. Then we move forward to the second stage, which is the practitioner. So we learn how to implement a data privacy management program. That's more management, not so much on the legal aspect of data privacy. And at the end of our 1 week program, we have the chance to talk about the DPO's role. During the last edition, we brought Fujitsu's DPO in Portugal to talk about his experience as a data protection officer, and we also address some piece of information on data privacy softwares. Many of data privacy professionals who are attending training programs to become DPO, they don't have the opportunity to know how it looks like a data privacy software. So that's why some of our programs, either we bring people from OneTrust to present to our students how OneTrust work, or we bring Pauki, a data privacy software from London. So this is a little bit about ourselves, what we do, but this is just to give you an overview and introduce ourselves, because today we are going to talk about something different. We are going to talk about how you can become a data privacy professional. Most of you are thinking about becoming a data privacy professional, and some of you don't even know what you guys should do or what kind of skills you should have to become a data privacy professional. So that's why our first class is on this topic. But before talking about how to become a data privacy professional, let's talk a little bit about privacy itself. Let's talk a little bit about data privacy. As I've said, there are 3 different standards to regulate data privacy all around the world. The European, the American, the Chinese standard. We might have a 4th standard coming from India. India is now debating its own data protection bill. It's a 4th standard, a little bit different than GDPR. But at this point, there are 3 different standards. So for some of you who don't know, the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, either talk about it regulates how you can process personal data. And every time that we talk about data privacy, there are two major topics. Either we talk about the legal aspect of the regulation, or how we need to manage things to make the organizations to comply with the data privacy regulation. Either we are talking about legal aspects or management aspects. When it comes to the legal aspects of the GDPR, let's resume the whole GDPR by saying that there are 4 major blocks of obligations in the GDPR. So if it's the first time that you are getting in touch with the term GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, try to imagine it that this regulation brings 4 different major topics, 4 major groups of legal obligations. What I mean by that is the first major group of obligation is what we call a lawful ground. What I mean by lawful ground, or even legal base, are 6 different situations that you are going to find in the GDPR that will allow you to process personal data. So that basically means that you are not allowed to process legal personal data if you don't fit, if you don't have a lawful ground, if you don't fit that specific situation in one of the legal bases that you're going to find in the GDPR. So there are 6 different situations that are stipulated in the GDPR, and you must identify if the reason why you are processing that personal data fits in one of these 6 situations. If you are not able to get one of these 6 lawful grounds, that means that it's going to be your process. Processing the data will be unlawful. So let's talk a little bit about these 6 lawful grounds. One of them is consent, but it's not the only one. There are 5 different other lawful grounds that you don't need to get the data subject consent to process the personal data. But the first one is consent. There is one called legal obligation. So anytime that you need to process personal data because you need to comply with a legal obligation, it means that you don't need to get the consent from the data subject. So this is a different lawful ground. There is one called execution of contract, or just contract. Let's say that to comply with the contract, to fulfill the contract that you have signed with the data subject, to execute the contract, you need to process the personal data. That means that if you need to process the personal data to execute the contract, it means that you don't need to get the consent from the data subject. So that's a different legal basis. So there are 6 different situations. This is not the topic of our webinar today, but it's just to give you an idea of one of these 4 major groups of obligations that you need to take care from now on as a data privacy professional. So there are 6 different lawful grounds that you need to fit in at least one of them to process personal data. The second major group of obligations is what we call GDPR principles. What does it mean? It means that even if you have one lawful ground, it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want with the personal data. It means that you need to follow the GDPR principles to comply with the GDPR. So there is the principle of minimization, the principle of transparency, the principle of the data quality. So those principles are is the way that the GDPR is going to give you some boundaries, some limits in how you can process personal data from now on. The third group, major group of obligations, is what we call data subject rights. So each individual is a data subject, and everyone has data privacy rights from now on. And every organization that process personal data or basically personal data needs to respect the data subjects' rights. So the data subjects they have, for example, the right to be forgotten, or even the right of portability. So there are different data subjects rights that from now on the organizations will have to respect and comply with. So you, as a data privacy professional, you are going to be the one to help the organization to comply with these data subjects rights. And the fourth major group of obligations is what we call personal data protection. It means that you, as a data privacy professional, need to help the organization to protect the personal data, because you need to have a very strong data protection environment in your organization. It doesn't make sense to have an organization complying with a data privacy, processing the data lawfully, but there is a data breach. So it means that it doesn't make sense to process the personal data compliant with the law, but without having a very strong data protection environment, and vice versa. It doesn't make sense if you have a very strong data protection environment, but you don't process the personal data compliant with the law. So that's pretty much an overview of what data privacy means, and the most important legal aspects of data privacy under the GDPR. But of course, there is what we call the management aspects of dealing with data privacy, because most of the time the solution for most of the gaps that you are going to identify during an assessment are not legal solutions for some of the gaps. For example, most of the time what you need to work on is process. Most of the time you need to change some process in the organization to make the company comply with the law, with the data privacy law. So the management aspect of data privacy is also very important. Even when we talk about the management aspect of dealing with data privacy, it means that sometimes we need to manage people, and mostly we need to implement a data privacy culture in the organization. It doesn't have anything to do with a legal aspect of dealing with data privacy. It's more the management aspect of dealing with it. So it means that we are going to need to find out how we are going to develop a data privacy culture in the organization. When we say management aspect, it means that sometimes we even need to talk about implementing data privacy softwares, systems. Sometimes the solution for most of your gaps is going to be the implementation of a data privacy software. Let's say that you are a very big retail chain. Let's say that you process personal data of more than 500,000 data subjects. it means that probably you are going to get a lot of requests from the data privacy, from the data subjects. So definitely you are going to need a data privacy software to help the data privacy professional to deal with so many requests coming from the data subjects. And this is just one of the examples of how a data privacy software can be useful. And that's one of the management aspects of dealing with data privacy. There is also the legal aspect, and that's something that we have already spoke about. So what I'm trying to say here is that data privacy not always is a legal matter. But sometimes we are dealing with how to actually manage data privacy, either because we are going to identify different ways of doing the same things and changing process, or because we need to train people in how to deal with privacy by design, or even how we are going to run a data privacy impact assessment, or even how we can use a data privacy software. So when we talk about data privacy, either we are talking about some legal aspect of data privacy, or we are talking about how to manage data privacy. And it's not only the GDPR. The same thing happens when we talk about, for example, the CCPA. If we talk about the one legal aspect of the California the California Consumer Privacy Act, it could be, for example, the definition of Californian consumer, for example, because the CCPA has a more broader definition of consumer. So when you interpret the California Consumer Privacy Law, actually the law is talking about more about the resident and not so much about the consumer. So this is one legal aspect of the CCPA. Or even if you are going to talk about some management aspect of the CCPA, for example, it could be how we are going to deal with the right of and the obligation to have a link on our website saying do not sell my personal information. How are we going to do that? This is more management. Of course, it comes from a legal obligation, but the way you are going to deal with it is more management. Or even how are we going to do the data mapping? How are we going to identify the kind of personal information that we usually sell and use in our operation? So my idea here is to bring you to your attention to the fact that either we are talking about legal aspect or the management aspect. And today, actually, the topic is not even about any legal aspect of a data privacy law or even the management aspect of data privacy. Actually, today we will talk more about the data privacy, let's say, market. Because, as I've said, I've worked in more than 100 different data privacy projects in different countries. In many countries in Europe, in companies in Brazil, in the US, companies in Australia, Canada. And I feel that the market, the data privacy market, it changed from one country to other, mostly because it depends. It depends mostly if that country already has a data privacy law enforceable. So I would say that in Europe, for example, many countries already are living the data privacy era. And in some other countries, they are getting ready to start this new way of dealing with data privacy. So I would say that Europe pretty much already lives this data privacy era. US and Brazil, for example, they're getting prepared to start this new way of processing personal data. And so that changed, the market changed from different places. Or even if we let's say India, for example. India at this point they are debating the Indian data protection bill. So definitely in the near future, the market will grow more and more once India has its own data protection law. But what kind of professional usually wants to become a data privacy professional? Well, I've seen people from information security becoming data privacy professionals. It happens mostly because information security professionals are more used to deal with a process, monitoring how people are doing things. So I would say, and one of the major legal obligations, as we've seen, out of the four major legal obligations, is data protection. So that's why I've seen a lot of people coming from the information security. But not only, I've seen professionals from compliance. Because, of course, data privacy regulations also needs compliance professionals. Compliance professionals have the kind of skills that will help the organizations to implement different procedures and evaluate if the organization is following those procedures. Even people from legal field also are becoming data privacy professionals. Lawyers are getting specialized in data privacy. IT professionals also. Even let's say project managers, mostly because there will be so many different data privacy projects that we'll have to manage, that data professionals feel that if they get specialized themselves on data privacy, they're going to be able to have a different career. And I've even seen people from marketing getting specialized in data privacy, mostly because they feel that they can have they can complement their career in knowing how to keep doing marketing, but in a more legal way, more lawful way. So if I work with the digital marketing and I'm a marketing professional who knows the legal aspects and mostly how to manage the legal aspects of data privacy and keep doing marketing, that's going to be a plus. So we have even seen some marketing professionals getting specialized in data privacy. So at the end of the day, how can we become a data privacy professional? Well, there are different ways. You can either take training programs, or even start working on some projects. That would be perfectly, because not many professionals have the practical experience of dealing with data privacy. You, in the future, you might be able to become a consultant for implementing data privacy programs. Mostly in countries where we are just starting to deal with data privacy. It means that they will definitely need some data privacy consultants helping them in manage their obligations, in running the assessment, in identifying the gaps, in telling the organizations what they should change in your organization in order to make the operation comply with the data privacy law, by changing the procedures, by training people, by identifying and implementing the best data privacy software. So it doesn't have anything to do with the legal aspect of dealing with data privacy. Of course, you will have to know at least how at least some about the legal aspect of a data privacy law. You must have this kind of knowledge, but it doesn't mean that you need to be a lawyer to be a data privacy consultant. And at the beginning, of course, if you are a lawyer, you can be a data privacy attorney and specialized in data privacy. So any market, any country that's just about to have a data privacy law becoming enforceable, it means that they are going to need these two data privacy professionals: consultants who will help the company to implement a data privacy program, and also data privacy attorneys. But let's say that your market already has a data privacy regulation enforceable. Definitely, if you are in Europe, you can be a DPO, a data protection officer. For those who are not aware of this term, the DPO is in the General Data Protection Regulation. So the regulation has created this role, and the data protection officer is the professional responsible under the GDPR to help the organization to comply with the GDPR. Not only that, but it's also the liaison, the focal point between the organization and the DPAs, the data protection authorities, and even the liaison between the organization and the data subjects. So under the GDPR, most of the organizations that process data, personal data from people located in Europe, they will have a data protection officer, because that, for some of them, it's a legal obligation. In the US, it's more common to find the chief privacy officers, mostly because it's not a legal obligation. So that's why in the US it's going to be more common to find the chief privacy officer. It does basically the same thing. It helps the organization to comply with data privacy rules and regulations. There is one interesting information about it. The IAPP, the International Association of Privacy Professionals, they ran a survey on the DPO and CPO salary, and it seems that American companies usually pay higher salaries for the chief privacy officers than European companies pay for data privacy officers. But it's pretty much the same role. You can even become an audit and audit companies in order to see if they comply with the data privacy regulation. You can be a compliance professional specialized in data privacy. Some companies are engaging some compliance consulting companies to make sure that they are compliant with data privacy regulations. You can even become a DPO as a service, as some people call, outsourcing of DPO. You don't need to be an employee to be a DPO. So some organizations, they even engage some DPO service. So you might be able to become one of those. You can be even a certifier, and even certify if companies are compliant with data privacy regulations. So that also might be an opportunity for you. Of course, if you have a data privacy law enforceable, you can be, if you are a lawyer, a data privacy lawyer, and give legal advice on data privacy. Not only legal advice, but also work on litigation, because there is a law enforceable. Or even you can get specialized in some specific things in the data privacy law. For example, the GDPR and even the CCPA, any data privacy program will recommend you to do what we call privacy by design. You can be a privacy by design specialist and help company to implement a privacy by design program. It means pretty much that every new project, either if you are going to think about a new service, a new product, you need to think privacy by design from scratch. So there are 7 principles. That's pretty much what privacy by design is. Privacy by design was created by a data privacy professional from Canada, and she came up with these 7 principles that pretty much is privacy by design. But how to apply those principles? It's something that you can be specialized and help company to develop, to manage their new projects applying privacy by design, or even become specialized in data privacy impact assessments. Because some companies, they even hire people, data privacy specialists, to run the data privacy impact assessment, to help sometimes the DPO to do that, or even to have a second opinion on different matters. So the idea today was to give you an overview of the different opportunities that you might have in becoming a data privacy professional. Hopefully you found this content interesting. I would appreciate and be more than glad to answer the questions that you guys might have. I know that we have some questions here, as I've said, in our Telegram channel, but let's see if you guys have questions here. Just give me a second, because once I'm writing, I'm not able to see the questions here. Let's start with the questions here in our Telegram channel. There is one question here from James Lin. The question is pretty much, what would be the hardest data privacy regulation to deal with? That's a very interesting question. I would say that the GDPR is the most restrict data privacy regulation, but I would say that it depends on the data privacy authority you are talking about. Because try to manage that we have the general data protection regulation. So it means that it's a regulation. So each country needs to have its own data privacy law. And the way that you are going to interpret it, some of the data privacy aspects will depend on the data protection authority from that specific country. Some countries in Europe have a more, let's say, a more strict way of interpreting the GDPR. I would say Spain, Germany, and France. So answering your question, I would say that those countries, you are going to have to do a very good job as a data privacy professional, because those authorities, they are quite, let's say that they have a very strong interpretations on the GDPR. In some other countries, they are a little bit more flexible. So it depends. There is one more question here. Would you recommend to get specialized and more in the legal aspect or on the management aspect of the data privacy? Well, I would say that you as a data privacy professional needs to have both. You need to have the legal knowledge of your legal obligations, but definitely not many data privacy professionals know how to manage all the challenges you have as a data privacy professional. So knowing different ways of dealing with the gaps, the data privacy gaps, would definitely gives you more experience in how to deal with different situations. So that's why during our training program we talk about different data privacy management programs. There is one that if you want to take ICSIN certification, you will definitely need to learn about the data privacy management system. And this is one of the data privacy management programs that we address during our program. But this is just one way. There is no right or wrong, because the law doesn't say what you have to do. It just says what's your legal obligation. But the way you are going to deal with that and how you are going to manage things in order to make the company to comply with the data privacy laws is up to you. So the data privacy management system is one of them. There are different other ways. So you should learn about the legal obligations, but getting the experience of the management aspect of how to deal with data privacy definitely will help you in deal with different situations that come up during your data privacy career. And I would also add on the top of that some other skills also would be appreciated. Soft skill is very important. Because you are going to communicate with a lot of people from different areas, and we don't want to be known as the no man or the no woman. What I mean by that is the data privacy professional that says no for everything. You can't do this, you can't do that. So we want you to get involved in the projects and help the organization to comply with the law. So soft skill is very important. And depending on your clients' core business, you also will have to have some other skills. What I mean by that, one of our instructors is Fujitsu's DPO in Europe. He's a data privacy professional, but he has a very strong IT background. And why is it important? It's because if you are working in an innovative organization as Fujitsu, definitely you need to know a little bit about IT, because some of Fujitsu's projects, you are going to work on those projects, and you are going to be responsible for managing the data privacy aspect of that new project. What we said, that's called privacy by design. So if you don't know anything about IT or even blockchain or artificial intelligence, you're not going to be able to propose some solutions for some of the projects. Or let's say that you work for a big e-commerce like Amazon or Alibaba or some of them, and you are the data privacy professional. Of course, you need to understand how to deal with digital marketing, because those companies, they work so much on digital marketing that you as a data privacy professional needs to understand how it works. So depending on the core business of your organization, you must have some other skills. We're gonna answer one more question. Saniv was one of our students. Glad to see you attending our first data privacy class, Saniv. Hopefully you are doing fine. Saniv's question is, what is the agenda for next Monday's 27th July, and who is the instructor? Great, Saniv. We are thinking about it, but probably the next instructor for this coming Monday will be Luciano Ferrari. He's our information security instructor, and probably, we are not sure about that, but probably he's going to talk about ISO 27701 and NIST privacy framework. Then we are going to have one class with Aaron Weller, a data privacy professional from the US. He's going to talk about how to manage things in the organization to help you comply with data privacy. And we will also have a class with Puneet. Puneet is from originally from India, but he lives in Belgium, and he's a a very well-known data privacy professional, and he has helped ING Bank to implement its data privacy program. So he will also be one of our instructors. So I can't say for sure that Luciano is going to be the next instructor, but probably He's the one who will be with you this coming Monday. Okay, so if you guys don't have any other questions, that's pretty much what we had to talk about today. So think about the different opportunities that you have as a data privacy professional. We know that many different training companies, they only talk about the DPO role, the data privacy officer role, but that's not the only way to become a data privacy professional. Of course, it's a very good opportunity because many companies all around the world, they need a data privacy officer because it's, for some of them, it's a legal obligation. Even in the U.S., American companies or even organizations, because it's for profit and non-profit organizations, if they process personal data of people located in Europe, they should have a DPO. But besides that, just to keep in mind that in California, they are at the end of this year, they will vote a new bill. It's called the California Privacy Act. I don't record the right name, but I think it's the California Privacy Act or something like that. And they are debating if they will have a state data privacy authority. So even in the U.S., we don't know, but maybe in the future there will be a lot, many opportunities for people to become data privacy professionals. Just to finish our event today, if you want to join us in our Telegram group, feel free to do so. We are going to leave the link here. We are going to also leave our website, our Instagram profile, and email if you may want to get in touch. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope to see you next Monday. So keep following us on our social media and roll in, and hopefully we're going to be together next Monday. Probably I'm not going to be the instructor, but for sure I'm going to be one of the attendees. Okay? Take care, be safe.